Hey everyone, it's Nightwave, and today I want to talk about something we all feel, but rarely talk about. You know that feeling when you're scrolling through your feed and it feels like everyone is winning? That little voice in your head that says, I'm falling behind? Well, today we're going to silence that voice because I'm here to tell you something I truly believe. There's something quietly destructive in the way we compare ourselves to others. You see someone your age achieving something great. Maybe they bought a house. Maybe they're on tour. Maybe they started a company. Or they're living a version of a life you always dreamed of. And then that little voice whispers, they're your age, and look at you. I know that feeling all too well. I remember being 24, scrolling through my feed, watching as friends and acquaintances celebrated milestones that felt galaxies away from my own reality. I felt like I was standing still while the rest of the world was in a furious sprint. That feeling, that gnawing sensation of being behind, can make you question everything you've ever done and every step you've ever taken. It can feel like the world has a secret timetable, and you somehow missed the memo. Suddenly, it feels like you're behind, like you've missed your window, that it's too late now. But here's something I wish I had realized earlier. Just because someone else is ahead on their path doesn't mean you're behind on yours. Everyone's timeline is different, and that's not just a poetic idea. It's a powerful, undeniable truth. Think about it like this. Where does this being on time pressure come from? It's often rooted in a social script we're all handed early on. Go to college by 18, get a good job by 25, be married by 30, have kids by 35. This narrative, while comforting for some, is a rigid and suffocating box for many others. When our lives don't fit neatly into that pre-written story, we start to feel like we failed. But the truth is, that script is an illusion. It's a collective hallucination that ignores the messy, beautiful reality of how life actually works. Let's look at some people who completely ignored that script. Take Vera Wang. Before she became one of the world's most iconic fashion designers, she was a figure skater and then a successful editor at Vogue. It wasn't until she was 40, after she couldn't find the perfect wedding dress for her own marriage, that she decided to design her own. That moment of frustration led her to start a bridal boutique. She wasn't a prodigy, she was a woman who, at 40, found a new path because she was finally ready to create something for herself. Her entire career as a fashion designer didn't even begin until most people are settled into their established lives. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his breakout role until he was 46, but before that, his journey was a long, hard-fought battle. He struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for years, an ordeal he's been open about. He wasn't handed success, he had to fight for it, both in his personal life and his career. His fame wasn't a sudden meteoric rise. It was the culmination of decades of work, struggle, and finally, getting sober and ready for the roles that would define his legacy. Colonel Sanders didn't franchise KFC until he was 62. He was a man who had worked countless odd jobs throughout his life: steamboat pilot, railroad fireman, farmer, and filling station operator. In his 60s, he was living on a small social security check. He started traveling the country in his car, knocking on doors of restaurants, trying to sell his secret fried chicken recipe. He was rejected over 1,000 times before he finally found a partner. His story isn't just about perseverance, it's about having the belief and resilience to start over when most people are thinking about retirement. Stan Lee was 39 when he created Spider-Man. The comic book industry was struggling,
and his bosses weren't convinced about a character who was a teenager with ordinary problems. They told him it was a terrible idea. But Lee pushed forward, creating a character that would change pop culture forever. His biggest successes didn't come in his 20s or 30s, they came as he entered his 40s, a time when he had the wisdom and conviction to trust his instincts. Harrison Ford was a carpenter until he was 35. He had small, uncredited roles and was struggling to make ends meet. He was literally installing a door at Francis Ford Coppola's studio when George Lucas cast him in Star Wars. His journey proves that sometimes the detours are actually the essential training ground for what comes next. And Van Gogh, he didn't sell more than a single painting in his lifetime. But you know what? He still painted. His legacy isn't measured by his early success. It's measured by the immense impact his work had on the world long after he was gone.
Success isn't about being early, it's about being ready. And sometimes being ready takes time, because growing takes time. Breaking down and rebuilding takes time. And learning who you are and what truly matters to you, that takes even longer. Some people peak early, some people bloom late. Both are valid. And sometimes being early is actually a curse in disguise. When things come too soon, before your identity is solid, before you know how to say no, before you've built any emotional muscles, success can crumble you instead of lift you. This is why some child stars disappear, or why overnight fame can destroy someone's mental health. It's not that they weren't talented, it's that they weren't ready. They hadn't built the emotional foundation to withstand the crushing weight of public pressure, criticism, and instant wealth. They were given the keys to a fast car before they ever learned how to drive.
Think about lottery winners. Studies consistently show that a staggering number of people who win the lottery lose it all within a few years and end up less happy than they were before. Why? Because they weren't ready for that level of success. They hadn't developed the financial discipline, the emotional maturity, or the sense of self to handle that kind of life-altering change. You don't want a life that looks good in your 20s, but burns you out in your 30s. You want a life that builds slowly and grows strong. There's something powerful about not rushing, about mastering your craft when no one's watching, about becoming someone of substance, not just someone of speed. Social media makes this harder, of course, because every scroll shows you someone winning, someone in Bali, someone on stage, someone celebrating a six-figure launch. And if you're not careful, you internalize it. Everyone's ahead. I'm the only one stuck. But that's not real. It's a carefully curated highlight reel. You don't see the people who failed quietly. You don't see the ones who pivoted silently. You don't see the millions who are also still figuring it out, just like you. And you also don't see what your path is slowly preparing you for. Every struggle, every mistake, every moment of self-doubt is building your emotional strength and clarity. It's helping you define who you are and what you truly value, so when your time comes, you'll be ready for it.
So, if you're 23 and feel late, take a breath. If you're 30 and feel lost, don't panic. If you're 40 and feel like you're just beginning, good. Because maybe this is your time. Not then, now. You don't need to rush success. You need to trust your rhythm. Think about it like music. A song isn't beautiful because it ends fast. It's beautiful because of the way the notes unfold. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, with pauses and crescendos, with breakdowns and breakthroughs.
A song needs its quiet parts for the loud parts to be meaningful. Let your life be a song. One that builds in layers, with pauses and crescendos, with breakdowns and breakthroughs. And remember, you're not too late. You're right on time.
And now I have a request for you. If this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you were behind, please leave a comment down below. No matter where you are in your journey, whether you're in your 20s or 40s, tell us your story. What was that timeline that you thought was leaving you behind? I want this video to become a community of support for others who feel the same way. Remember, you are not alone in this feeling. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with someone who might need to hear this message. I'll see you in the next video.